morning, home business owners, small business owners, network marketers. You ever get that feeling that, no matter what you do, you just can't seem to be accomplishing what you want to accomplish in your business? It feels like you're, just can't stay focused and things like that, Have you ever realized the fact that we as humans, we actually operate on what's known as triggers and patterns? We run patterns on a daily basis. These patterns are certain actions that we take. And these actions that we take are the result of something that triggered that pattern. See, this is the key. This is one of the things that I can attribute to my success, is the fact of being able to identify the triggers and patterns that aren't conducive to the success that you're looking to achieve. See, we run these patterns on a daily basis, and they're triggered by an event. What somebody says, what happens, or something like that. These things that trigger these patterns, okay, what happens is then we get into a certain pattern, Perhaps, we get an email from one person and it sends us into a particular type of pattern. See, we've got to recognize these patterns and triggers and identify the ones that aren't what we're looking for, aren't going to support what we're looking to achieve. A lot of these patterns and triggers are patterns and triggers of the past that we've been carrying with us for a long time. And the key here, one of the keys to your success is when you can finally start to identify. Okay, a couple of people are on. Oh, good morning, Teresa. Hey, Teresa, we got to talk later on today because my daughter keeps asking me about that stuff. But we'll talk later on today. But today I'm talking about the triggers and patterns. In other words, these triggers and patterns, somebody says something, or you get that call from one person, or just something happens in your day, and it sends you off on a different direction, a direction that's not going to help you achieve what you're looking to achieve in your life and in your business. But the key here is we got to learn identify, that particular pattern. Once we really start to look at this, the funny thing is, as you start to examine these patterns, you're going to start to find even more patterns that you weren't even aware of. We do a lot of things habitually on a daily basis, and what happens is when we're doing these things, we're not even aware of them. These become automatic things. And the thing is, you've got to identify what threw you into that mode. Because if you don't know what threw you into that mode, you're no longer in control. But what happens is by taking full control, by learning how to identify the pattern is not being something you want to do, then we got to look back and figure out what was the trigger that created that pattern, that had you started that pattern. What provoked you to start to run that pattern of the past, the one that's not going to support you, what you're looking for. See, once we can identify what that trigger is, now we can take this trigger, we can create a new trigger, we can use that same trigger, but then we can design a pattern that we're going to run whenever we get that same trigger, that trigger of the past that sent us off in a tailspin, headed in the wrong direction, not working towards our success in our life and in our goals, but rather than having a new pattern in place so that when we do get triggered, we know, okay, a new trigger, we're going to run this pattern instead because we've already identified the patterns that aren't supportive to what we're looking to achieve. See, success is pretty simple, but the thing is, there's so many little pieces that we've got to put together that are going to allow you to have that. But these little pieces, if we don't put them together and if we don't learn how to identify them, these are the things that on a daily basis are pulling you away from that success. See, it's about learning how to identify the controlling factors through your day. What has you doing whatever you're doing during the day? You realize the fact that, those patterns that you're running, these are an automatic program, something provided by your subconscious has these patterns ready to go at a moment's notice whenever they're triggered. But what happens is we can start to build new programs conducive to the achievement and the desire and the goals that you have. See, once you identify the fact that we're habitual and the fact that we do things on a daily basis, 95% of what we do is predicated by our adaptive subconscious. And that's where those programs, those patterns lie, and that's where those triggers come from. What happens is once we can identify them and we can reprogram them, So now what happens is the automatic response is not going to be detrimental to you. It's going to be supportive. And this is where you start to see the pieces start to come together. But it takes a little bit of time. You've got to be aware. First thing we've got to do is as you go through your day, when you find yourself doing something that you know is not really supportive of what you want, try to identify it. Identify that pattern and keep a note and try to identify how often you're running that pattern and what was the trigger. And then create a new pattern for that trigger. And then what's nice is you can take this concept, okay, and you can actually start to create your own triggers that create pattern, that will trigger a pattern of your design. Start to design your own patterns. Maybe you get a phone call from one particular person. It may not have anything to do with your business, but every time that one person calls, you're going to go and you're going to do 10 minutes of personal development, something simple. Something working towards your goals, working towards your vision. In other words, create a trigger. Find that trigger and develop that as a trigger to trigger an action that's conducive to what you're looking to achieve. This is simple stuff. Hopefully you got a little bit of value out of today. I want you to go out there and start to identify those triggers and patterns of the past, the ones that aren't supportive to what you're looking to achieve. See, once we learn, this is just one little part of the puzzle. We have multiple pieces of our puzzle. We've given the best tool that we can have for our success in our lives, okay, in our businesses. It's up here. But until we learn how to utilize it and put it to work for us, it's going to keep working. You know who it's working for? It's working for you, the you of the past. And you want to move forward. Yet your systems, your programs are all based on your past. It's time to change that. It's time to change that and create new triggers and new patterns conducive to your success of the future. And this is where you're going to finally make that breakthrough. If it can help you out in any way, feel free to reach out to me because here at the Network Marketing Gym of Success, my vision is focused on your network marketing success, helping you achieve more sales, more quality signups of people who are actually out there looking for you. Now, that's the best person to talk to, isn't it? Of course it is. And that's what we do here at the Network Marketing Gym. I help you transform those basic network marketing skills through implementing some simple strategies and leveraging social media, and help you transform those skills into network marketing muscles so that you can succeed, you can win, you can finally achieve that time freedom. But it all comes out with you taking the action. You've got to be an action taker. Today's skill set, you can take action with today's skill and put it to work. Grab yourself a cheap dollar notebook. Start to identify those patterns and triggers, the ones that aren't moving you closer to where you want to go, but the ones that are distracting you. Once you identify them and label them, it allows you to create replacement patterns and triggers that are going to be conducive to your success. Thanks for spending your time with me. I appreciate your time. If you know people who are struggling, do me a favor, get this information out to them. I don't charge for my content or trainings or anything like that. But the key is I want to get it out to more people. That's what I need to be impacting people with, is how they all have the tools, abilities to succeed. We all have this success in us, but it's a matter of putting all the tools together and learning how to use them. Once we use them, look out, because you're going to be able to have anything you want. Once you learn how to put these things in alignment to have that success, no longer running the patterns and triggers of the past, but now running patterns and triggers, events that's going to be focused and goal-oriented, success-driven, based upon your future, not based upon your past. These triggers and patterns from your past, they got you to where you are now. You can't take them with you into your future if you want to have success. Identify them, eliminate them, replace them, move forward. Thanks again for stopping by. Take care. Great to see you. We'll talk to you later, Teresa. Bye.